Law enforcement, Mendocino County council members and audience, welcome to the Walla Municipal Advisory Council September 1st, 2022 meeting. I'll call the meeting to order at the time I just mentioned, 6:05, and we will begin with announcing the resolution authorizing our teleconference meetings for remote telephone conference meetings of the legislation bodies of the Walla Municipal Advisory Council pursuant to the Ralph M. Brown Act. We need to vote on that. So we need a motion on that resolution authorizing the remote teleconference meetings.
I take a motion that we authorize teleconference meeting.
Okay, so Melissa has made a motion. Anybody make a second?
Second.
Dan makes a second. Okay, we'll take a voice vote on that. Melissa.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Don.
Aye.
And Robert. Aye. Okay, moving on. We jumped the gun a little bit. We have the introduction already for Elora, and we heard somebody else was on. Gayla is also on. So any other introductions or announcements that we have before we go to the next item on the agenda? Okay, hearing none. We will discuss the approval of the minutes of August 4th. Tonight, we will also be considering whether we wish to continue with the regular meeting minutes preparation or adopt the action minutes format that Kevin suggested at last month's meeting. So which set of minutes do we wish to approve, and or both maybe? And then what are we going to do from here on?
I'll make a motion just to approve the minutes as submitted, both the action minutes and the regular minutes.
Okay, Kevin, anybody want to second that motion?
Second.
Okay, Dan, thank you. Should we open it for discussion now or vote first? Let's take a vote and then we'll discuss it, how we're going to proceed from here. Okay, so Melissa.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Don.
Aye.
And Robert. Aye. So
Robert?
Yeah, Kevin.
I think the discussion on the format of the minutes is under item 9.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, Mary included it under item 9. And I see a nod from her, so yes, it is on our agenda.
Oh, good. Okay, then we'll skip on to our next item on the agenda since I forgot that completely down there. So we've approved both sets of minutes. The approval of the agenda, tonight's agenda. Anybody want to make a motion on that? Do we see any changes we need to make? I think we're in good shape, but we need a motion on approving tonight's agenda.
I'll move the minutes, or I'll move the agenda as submitted.
Okay, anybody second that?
I'll second that.
Don seconds that. Okay, let's vote on that. Melissa?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
And Robert? Aye. Okay, do we have any public input on non-agenda items tonight? Okay, hearing none. Let's go right on to law enforcement report. Matt's here, and anybody else, Matt, from your department?
No, just me so far. I've got that fire that's going on in Willits, and so I'm heading up there to make sure that we're getting everything taken care of. Just a couple of real short things I wanted to throw out there before I've got to run off.
Okay.
Our calls for service are, and I'm going to knock on wood when I say this, for as warm as what it's been in Ukiah, the coast, our calls for service have been running at a pretty low level. And that's a good testament to Lieutenant Comer and the patrols that he's had down on the South Coast. He's been filling the South Coast and the edges more than what we've been filling the middle lately, because honestly, we've got the ability with a couple of new deputies that we've hired to be able to get people out further into the reaches which gets our response times at a much shorter time. And so the more patrols we have, the less calls for service we have, because we're dealing with things while they're still small. And once again, you know, the folks on the South Coast, Point Arena, Wallala, Anchor Bay, they're just good partners. They're keeping us apprised of everything that's going on. Fire danger is still huge. And, you know, we just hit September. And so for the next 2 months, we are in our absolute most vulnerable phase. So please, let's do everything that we can to support the first responders. You know, we've got to make sure that we don't have any human caused fires. So anytime that you go to do something, and the coast, as we saw earlier this year, you guys are not exempt. I mean, that fire that ripped down through Bill Owens Road, it burned like it was August in Ukiah. It was just terrible. Luckily, South Coast Fire, with that bulldozer, they were able to get lines around it. They did a great job, but there are so many places where that could have just gone off the rails if we hadn't had the personnel and equipment in a place where we needed them. A couple of good things. I'm working on a program with the Unconditional Freedom Project. It's called Guards to Guardians. And they're working with a lot of our corrections staff, kind of with a different view that we've started with a lot of the different programs in the jail. And, you know, we're getting more education in. We've got a really solid partnership with probation right now. And I think that in the long run, we're going to see some really positive outcomes from this. And it's a pretty exciting time. I'm pretty happy with the work that's going on over there. A lot of the folks who are incarcerated there are getting a top-notch education. And I don't think that we're going to be turning homeless people out into the cold when they get released. And so I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty happy with it. And as this progresses on, we're going to have some media and some things that come out that I'd like to be able to share with all the MACs in the county. And I think that's about it for me.
Okay. Any quick questions of Matt from the council?
Yeah, Sheriff, I've just got a real quick question, and that is, there has been a lot of fires happening in East County. Are those human error, or are they naturally started, or have you guys kind of got an idea on what's happening? Because there seems to be a lot going on.
Well, and you know, we're having about the same number of fires that we would normally have.
Okay.
And but we're also hyper vigilant now after the last few years that we're really paying attention to the fires, which is good, because that's when people begin to really pay attention to when they mow, when they go out and they do all of these different things that they don't realize will cause a fire. And they wouldn't if we weren't in such extreme fire danger. There's vehicle accidents. There's vehicles towing where the chains are dragging. We had that one in Covelo that, I mean, we're absolutely certain that that was something dragging or a brake hanging up on a trailer for just a short amount of time. All of these things cause fires during that extreme fire weather. There's only just a couple of things naturally that occur that cause fires. You know, we've got lightning and we've got lava flows. Both those things cause fires. And here in California, we don't think so much about the lava flows, but they do in Hawaii. And so I believe that in Mendocino County, we are 96% human caused fires. And I got that figure from my brother at CAL FIRE. We're 3% above the national average. 93 is the national average, and we're at 96% here. So, you know, let's just all think about it when we go out to mow, when we go out. We had a fire that was caused by a post hole digger. Years ago, over towards the geysers, there was a guy who was shooting a bow and arrow, and when he hit a rock and it caused a fire. I mean, these are the things that we don't think about until we have this extreme fire weather that we're in the middle of right now. And September through October are our two worst months.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
tell your brother and his crews to be safe.
I will.
Of that 96%, how much is that is arson? In other words, they deliberately set the fire.
We had some pretty serious arsons that were going on last year. You know, I spoke with Justin Buckingham, one of the battalion chiefs that does most of our fire investigations. We had 22 arsons on the railroad tracks in Ukiah last year.
But this year?
So This year, no, not even close to that.
Okay,
It's
all
been
just
it's been quite a bit further down.
pure dumb luck, bad luck, pure dumb
Yeah.
bad luck.
Yeah, and vehicles, car crashes cause so many fires, and we don't think about it because in the winter times when we have most of our car crashes with ice and bad weather and rain, and that doesn't cause fires because when you wreck in the middle of a rainstorm, it doesn't usually get away. But in the summertime, it is just dangerous. So,
Sheriff Kendall, just a point of clarification. At this point in time, this season of the year, are there any circumstances under which somebody could burn their burn pile in their backyard?
no.
Okay.
And, I believe that CAL FIRE suspended all burning, I think it was mid-May. And it's just not safe. It's not safe to have fire on the ground anywhere this time of year. The wind comes up every afternoon, and I don't care what microclimate you're in. If you mix these dry fuels with wind, it's just not safe.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff.
Okay, we've
All
been
right.
Okay,
I
Matt.
got to run off and get up to Willis. Thank you so
Okay,
much, and
thanks
you
for
guys
attending.
have a wonderful week.
Okay,
Thank you, Matt.
happy Labor Day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Sheriff.
Matt. Okay, so on to the main part of our agenda. We've got permit applications, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Coastal Development Permit, Boundary Line Adjustment, Samler Horn. Okay, that was something that Dawn and I were supposed to handle. Now, Mary, earlier this month, wrote to the county. She sent out a letter to the applicant. We didn't get anything back on this, no referral package, nothing whatsoever until I contacted Steve Kleinman, the planner, on Monday, wrote him a letter. He finally got back to Mary and I on Tuesday. And on Tuesday is when they finally uploaded to the county website the referral package. So I'd like to just go over that briefly with you because it's kind of it seems almost immaterial, but GMAC has long ago requested that we have property line adjustments referred to us. So that's why we did finally get this. And what we're looking at here is a very minor property line adjustment. You'd have to go on site to look at what's actually happening here. It's an adjustment of 0.18 acres. Why somebody would do that, you almost question it, but if you look closely at the maps, the topo maps, the aerial maps, you'll see that these are 2 side-by-side parcels by the same owner. And it could possibly be because he wanted to include or make the smaller parcel a little bit larger, and he had some excess acreage on his 10-acre parcel, 10+ acre parcel that he could do that with. So from a 10.19 acre parcel, it goes down to a 10.01 acre parcel, thus still meeting the 10-acre minimum zoning on that parcel and giving the other parcel the additional acreage. It increases from 2.76 to 2.95. In addition, I noticed, and I don't know if you had the time to do this, Dawn, but there's a little clearing, a clearing free of vegetation within this 0.18 acre parcel or a line adjustment, property line adjustment. So that may be another reason that the applicant had to do this. So I think it's so minuscule, this property line adjustment. I see no reason why we shouldn't recommend our approval on this. If you have anything else to add, Dawn, please do.
No, I don't. As a matter of fact, since this came so late, I really have been tied up with some other things and have not had time to look into it. But based on what you're saying, it's such a minor adjustment. I really don't have a problem with just approving it.
Okay. Any other council members want to weigh in on this?
Sounds like y'all have it ironed out, and it sounds really simple.
Okay.
They're both owned by the same person, right?
Yes.
No biggie.
They've had to
He
go
just
through,
wants to change it.
they've had to go through a permit process. They've had to pay their fees. So If nobody else has anything to say on this one, we can vote on it, and I can certainly write a letter. Anybody else? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to give our advisory recommendation or approval on coastal development permit boundary line adjustment 2021-0064 Samler Horn. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve of it.
Okay, Melissa, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Don will second. Okay, let's take a voice vote. Melissa?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
And Robert? Aye. And I'll be happy to write the letter on this. Okay, that was fairly simple. Let's move on to B, Coastal Development Permit 2022-0016 Jackson. And that was looks like Kevin and Melissa. Can you tell us a little bit about that one, you two?
Thank you, Robert.
Sure.
Melissa and I had the great opportunity to meet Mr. Jackson on site. And his CDP is really straightforward as it stated in the permit. He's taken an old trailer that's on site that he's been living in, and he's found the good fortune to be able to upgrade and put a new trailer on his site in the same footprint. Mobile home, and he's not changing anything.
Pardon me, it's not a mobile home, it is a modular.
Right.
Yeah, just to make that correction.
Thank you, Colin. So Melissa and I had a great opportunity to meet with him. And Melissa, do you have anything to add?
The only thing is that I've been thinking about that. That place has black mold in it. If I could sign something that they could say, okay, they can change it out tomorrow, I would, because I lost a neighbor who died. You remember, Robert? She died because there was black mold in her.
Right.
She did live in a trailer.
Right.
So it's not safe living conditions. I definitely think it should just be same as the previous one, just yes.
So I take that as Melissa and I highly recommend approval of this CDP 2022-0016.
Highly.
Can I just ask a question? Cullen, is it? The applicant, Cullen, that foundation is still in order, right?
Yes, and we have a letter from the engineer.
Cool, okay. Was that originally your mother's?
Yes.
Correct.
Joy?
Yes.
Oh, bless her heart. Okay. I never met you, Colin, yet, but I hope to.
A wonderful lady.
Yeah, wonderful lady. Okay, that's all I had to ask.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody want to make a motion on that then? One of you two.
I'll be happy to make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, that we approve Coastal Development Permit 2022-0016 Jackson. Okay, we'll take a voice vote. Melissa?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Dan?
Oh, you're muted.
Dan's muted all of a sudden?
Yeah, Dan muted.
Sorry, aye.
Aye, okay. Don?
Aye.
And Robert? Aye. Who will write the brief letter to the county?
I'll be happy to do that.
Okay.
And can I add a caveat? It has nothing to do with this CDP, but based on the sheriff's report and Melissa and my site visit, there really is a concern by the timber harvest that's located right behind his property, and the concern with defensible space. And it would be nice if the timber company would work with Mr. Jackson and maybe clear some of the trees that are right next to his property, maybe clear an area that would be more defensible for he and actually all of his neighbors on Wallala Circle, because it was, we were surprised when he showed us the backyard, and there's some major trees back there that if there was a fire that swept through that area, it would be hard to defend the neighbors' properties there. So,
does the applicant, Colin Jackson, does he have Wallala Redwoods Timber contact information?
Yeah, we've gotten in contact with them and they denied access.
They denied access. They don't respond. They do respond though, huh?
They do respond. They don't want anybody on their property.
Was it just you who wrote them, or can you get the other neighbors along that side of Wallala Court to also to kind of do a group thing?
It's possible that we could do a group thing, but no, we just contacted them individually and asked if we could do a little bit of clearing on their property, and they said no.
Okay, do you have the 30 feet, or what is it that CAL FIRE recommends that you have clearance around your home? Is it 100?
No, I believe that we have it up to the property line as far as we can go.
Okay.
But, I believe it's 100 feet or to the property line, whatever comes first, so.
Right. And you can ask for a CAL FIRE inspector to come out to your property and give you a report. And maybe send on that report to the adjacent to the Wallala Redwood Timber if the report is unsatisfactory.
Yeah, that's possible. Thank you. Thank you for the recommendation.
Those ideas.
What we're kind of hoping, Robert, is that maybe someone from the Timber Harvest Company might be watching our GMAC meeting and be good neighbors and maybe work with Mr. Jackson and the rest of the neighbors to really help make it a good defensible space and a partnership between the residents and the company. Yeah.
Well, anybody else have any other ideas? Those were the two avenues I was thinking of, but thanks, Kevin, and thanks, Colin, and whatever we can do on that.
Yeah, well, no, thank you all. I appreciate everything from you guys.
Good luck with that.
Thank you, Colin.
Okay, so then we're moving right along here. Item C is Coastal Development Permit Modification 2022-0004. That's Cuesta. And Kevin and Dan went to see that. Do you have anything to report on that?
Well, I'll jump right in and then let Dan weigh in. Dan and I had a chance to meet Mr. Cuesta, who very kindly shared his trials and tribulations in dealing with the county to get his property approved. As you saw in his permits, most of all the paperwork had been signed off by the various agencies. It just needed to go to the Planning Commission, I guess, for approval. And lo and behold, it never made it. And so hence Mr. Cuesta is back. Because they suggested that he go through GMAC again. But Dan and I didn't see any issues at all that should hold up the process. And actually, we would hope that maybe the county might fast track it because Mr. Cuesta has been waiting for quite a while to get into a property that he and his wife purchased and truly love. And they'd like to finally live in it. Dan, do you have any other items?
Just that what you said about him being kind of done poorly by the county. He's had to downsize his project, which is what we're trying to approve right now. And it cost him an additional $5,000 to do that because of the re-permitting, because of applying for this variation on his permit. I think we need, like Kevin said, I think we can't fast track this enough.
Okay. Any other comments from Dan or Kevin or any other council members on this?
I'm afraid I didn't read this. What's the briefest synopsis to explain it?
Brief synopsis, Melissa, is simply Mr. Cuesta and his wife went through the CDP process back in, I think, 2011. and they went through all the steps that were necessary. And somewhere along the line, their application kept getting put to the bottom of the pile. And even with his due diligence and contacting staff with the county, it didn't raise their permit to a level where the planning commission would take action on it. And finally, with the changeover in staff in the county, there was a planner that really took their project under her wing and walked it through the whole process.
What's the project? I didn't read this. What's the project?
The project is he's building a home.
Okay.
On Iverson Drive, I think.
Yeah, Iverson Drive.
Okay.
And it's got water, it's got electrical. He's got it all set to go. He just needs a permit from the county and has yet to get it. So we would like to help him start down the track of getting it approved and moving forward on his project.
Okay, build a home. That's
yes.
I will be abstaining from this vote. I told you that last month. I was the one that was involved with selling the piece. It's a small 1-bedroom place, Melissa, and so it's
after my own heart.
All he can fit on there. So anyway, good presentation there by you and Dan. I think we're ready to vote on this one too then. Do we have a motion to approve or disapprove Coastal Development Permit Modification 2022-0004 Cuesta?
Dan, do you want to make the motion?
Move it.
Dan moves. Who wants to second that?
I'll second it.
Melissa second. Okay. Voice vote. Melissa.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Don.
Aye.
Robert. Aye. Who will write the letter on this one?
I'll be happy to.
Kevin. Okay.
And both letters that I'm writing, I'll pass it by both Melissa for the Jackson CDP and to Dan on the Cuesta CDP to make sure it's complete, and then I'll forward it to you, Robert.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Let's move on to the next one, and that's an administrative coastal development permit. CDP 2022-0039, SNL Farms West LLC dash Fortier is the owner. We have a representative.
Robert, we're getting a wave off by Mary.
And why would that be?
It's towards the bottom.
Towards the bottom. Well, we approved the agenda as we have it, so we need to handle this, I think. If we table it, we have an applicant here, don't we, for this?
Well, wait a second. Mary,
Robert,
can you send a chat to any of us to explain? You can't send a chat? No.
Robert, it's item 8C.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah.
It's item 8C on the agenda.
Under item 8C.
Right.
I'm getting a nod from Mary. So it is on there.
Okay. So the applicant that was here earlier is not here anymore, and we could table this to next month's meeting. I know that's now. No.
Is that for Fortier?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you were here. Okay.
Yes.
Would you like to give us an idea what's going on here?
I'm not sure. Mary is indicating no. And so I'm not sure if we're having issues with being able to present today or just give
us.
Oh, you know what, Robert? Mary, and give a nod if this is correct. Are you looking at GMAC assigning people to that CDP? Yes, that's all it is, Robert, is she wants us to assign people to that CDP this evening, and then we'll address it at the October meeting. Correct, Mary? Okay.
Is that okay with the applicant, the representative?
Yes, as long as I can get a follow-up. The letter that we had received was for this meeting. And so as long as I can get a follow-up of when that schedule would be so that I can be present. There was just the planner and I went out to site and there were some modifications to what the description says based on the findings from when we were on site and what that actually would entail for this project.
Can you send us that update?
Sure. I think it has to come from the planner. And so I can request that she send that to you guys. It was just a little clarity that there's not really any actual work going on the project. It's just remediation from what happened. And so it looks like there's all this grading and all this happening when in fact, there's not actually any of that happening. It's just revegetation mostly. So I'll request that the planner send that over to you guys. And then if I can, I don't know if that goes through you guys for me to be back on the schedule for coming in October and getting the agenda. I would love to be present for that as well.
What'll happen is have your planner send it to Mary.
Right.
Mary has you on our list. And then when the meeting notice goes out, she'll make sure you get a copy of it.
Great.
And she'll probably send a copy to your planner as well.
Great. And I really appreciate you guys. I'm from Laytonville originally. My parents both sat on the LAMAC pretty much my entire childhood. So I'm very familiar with the meetings. I was usually doing my homework in the back. So very familiar.
So you're familiar with that we're going to officially table this until next month's meeting?
Yes, I am. I also, I worked for the county here for a while as well. So I'm familiar. So.
And what we will do as well, when we have the assignments go out, if you can send your email to Mary, and then what the people that are assigned to your CDP, they'll reach out to you as well.
Great.
So that we have an immediate contact.
All right. Thank you guys. I'm going to go do dinner with my toddlers and I will see you guys at the next meeting.
Thank you.
All right. Bye guys.
Bye-bye.
All right. See you next month.
Okay, so this was good. This was actually an item that I had kind of jotted down that we might need to move. Mary and I had talked about this, but then the latest agenda that you sent to me, Mary, it looked like it was still on the agenda. So I thought, okay, it's an administrative coastal permit. It's really a remediation. It's being handled, but this is good. We'll be able to see this in depth next month. Okay, so we've handled our permit applications. Let's move on to council matters. Do we have any old business? Okay, then let's move on to 7B, Wallala Services Committee. That's Kevin, Dan, and myself. Kevin has sent us all the updated Wallala Community Survey. And do you all have a copy in front of you? Or Kevin, do you want to?
Yeah, let me back up real quickly. I'd like to give a kudo to the county under the parks report that they did go out there and clean up at least the picnic area for a public meeting that was held out there with some of our state and federal representatives there as well. But the park really looked nice. So I'd like to thank the county for sending crews out there to clean it up, at least the picnic area, and look forward to further repairs to the park.
Kevin, can I make a comment here before you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Since you're on the topic of that picnic and us being at the park, I did talk to Trevor Mockle, who is an assistant for State Senator Mike McGuire. I think, Kevin, did you talk to him too?
I did.
Yeah, in any event, he gave me his business card and we talked about funding for the park. And I raised that question, to the senator while he was up, taking questions. And he basically said that he would be responsive. He would look into it. And then I talked to Trevor, and Trevor said, okay, well, send me an email. So I sent Trevor an email, basically going over, what I had said, in terms of the question I asked the senator at the park. And I never heard back from him. Nothing. And this was weeks ago. So, I don't know. I just want to let you know that I did that and I got no response.
And for public record, I will, because I know that the council members were in attendance at that meeting. One of the key points that was really made regarding a lot of support for our community is that any grants that anybody applies for has to go through a public entity. And that would be either through a special district, a city, or the county. So in our particular situation, if we were to apply for a state park grant to repair Bauer Park, it would have to right now go through the county of Mendocino. So they were very clear about that, that it's not a private entity that can apply for grants, that they have to go through a public entity. So that's something that was very clear for anything that we want to do in our community, especially rehab Bauer Park, is we need to work with the county or another governmental agency. So.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. And I think most all of us understand that. But I'm a little bit disappointed that Mike McGuire's office has not said a single word in response to my email. Mm-hmm. I know he's busy with a lot of other stuff, and I'm not asking for a whole lot of their time, but at least some kind of response. And they certainly indicated at the time of that event that they would be responsive.
Right.
And they were not.
Maybe hit him up a second or third time, Don.
The other point I want to make is that Ted Williams was not there. He was invited. He was expected to be there. And it would have been great if he had been there, because he certainly could have explained to the public, those in attendance, what the county situation is with regards to the park not receiving funding, basically. My understanding is that the park maintenance has basically been cut from the budget. There's no money in the budget. Is that correct, Kevin?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Countywide?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they only own six. They only own 6 parks, and so there's no money in their budget right now to fund any park rehab or maintenance.
Makes sense.
Anyway, that was an opportunity to bring this issue up to, high-level politicians, and especially state level. State has money. Surplus, they have money. The question is, can the county get any of that? That's the big question mark.
Right.
See, we don't know if Ted had some kind of a conflict that day or anything, though, Don.
No, we don't know. I have no idea. He never responded or said anything.
Right.
He wasn't there. He, according to our group, this was put on by a local Democratic club,
Right.
Redwood Coast Democrats, and they were expecting him. We had a name tag for him and everything.
Yeah. But knowing you probably sent him or the gentleman, Mike McGuire's admin or whatever, probably sent him a second and a third email to try to get a response, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I could, but we could. But on the other hand, this is sort of your committee's work. It's not necessarily my work. And but we certainly could follow up and then do another email. No problem.
I don't know.
But I think maybe a bigger issue that we're faced with is this financial situation of the county. My understanding is the county doesn't even know what their financial situation is. It's so messed up. Ted Williams has even admitted to this, that they don't know where they're at financially.
Not good.
I mean, the county could be entirely broke and they just don't know. Or they could have a surplus. They don't know.
Well, dang.
Well, is there anything else under Wallala Parks report? I kind of jumped ahead to the community survey, but we've still got affordable housing report, if any.
No, we have nothing on the affordable housing, and unless you or Dan have anything else, I think that concludes the park portion of that.
Are any of you, I should be the most up to speed on this, but are any of you a little bit more up to speed on the ADU situation, ADU, accessory dwelling unit? Because that's part of the affordable housing thing, I would think. The state came down with some new regulations allowing people to have these accessory dwelling units to help with the housing situation. So that's something that I think we as a committee might look into a little bit more.
Okay.
ADUs.
Did anyone read the article I forwarded to everyone?
Absolutely.
That was that on that topic, Melissa?
I'm was seriously, severely, and fatally on that topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will find that email and reread it. Okay.
Okay. Because the problem with extending more people living around here is that about the only places left are out in high fire danger, and putting people out in high fire danger leads to people having their houses burned down and become homeless and lose their money. It's a really dumb idea. It's a fatally stupid idea.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll be happy to move on with the survey if you'd like.
Alrighty. Okay.
The survey, we went through it question by question last meeting, and I did take everybody's suggestions and modified the survey and sent it out. I don't think we need to go through question again tonight. I think everybody on the council had a chance to possibly look at it, and if they had any questions on it, they could contact me. Henry's indicated that he will be able to put it on our website for online voting, so people will be able to do that. Talk to Peggy Berryhill, and once we get the nod from the council to move forward, she's extended an invitation to me to present the survey to the community via her public forum. And the responses that you got that Mary forwarded, I think she forwarded 3. Those are because it was kind of a test run for me. So I handed out the surveys at the local Lions Club. And so those responses are from 3 of the Lions members. But that's where we're at right now. We'd like to move forward. Oh, Melissa, you got a bunch of changes?
No, I just filled mine out and I didn't. Then I forgot about it. I meant to ask, what do I do with it once I filled it out?
You can mail it to Mary. You can email it to me.
Okay, I'll take an image. I'll take an image of it and send that.
All right, thank you. But I think we're ready to move forward. The public's excited about it, and I think it's going to give us a real good direction on what the public feels about crucial topics here in our community. So with that, I open it up to you guys for discussion.
Okay.
The only thing I would have to discuss that's serious that we might have some impact on is the fact that we can't get any grant money for water storage until the water isn't privately owned. Just like the sewer, we're going to have to get the water publicly owned. And I want to know, are we going to have to sue someone again? I wasn't here, but I've been told to get sewer made public. Are we going to have to do that with water? Or are we going to have an easier road to that? So we can get grant money, because grant money is pouring out of the federal government's ears to help us get our water. And we need enough water for us.
Did you guys read
us?
Melissa, did you happen to read one of the surveys that came back that Mary sent us?
No, I didn't look at them. Okay. I didn't have time.
Kevin and Dan, I think we need to get the survey out and let people respond, and then we could get into the details of those kind of things. Because one of the surveys that did come back, they doctored it up a little bit and they circled those items like water, for instance. You noticed that, Kevin?
I did.
Yeah. The only addition I would have on this community survey is I see, now I didn't want to have any specific council member's email address on this. I didn't think that was, I thought we should filter it through Mary's email address, was one of my concerns as the administrative secretary for our council. But I see you put your email address or a email address on the back, Kevin, which is fine. Yeah. But maybe we could also add our administrative secretary's email address. So
here's the thing, and I'm sorry that he's not with us. Henry said that he was going to try and put together a GMAC email address, so it wouldn't have to go to Mary or anyone else. It would be just a generic Gmail or GMAC email. So I put mine on there temporarily until he comes up with an email address, and then we can just switch that out.
Okay. I think that would make it all the more, I don't know, it just feels better if it's a generic email address.
Sure.
And I don't know, should we, in the meantime, just have Mary's email address on there, or what do you think?
We could change that, whatever your pleasure is.
Okay. What does the council, how does the council feel on that? Filter it all through Mary or not?
How does Mary feel about it? Does she say, yes, do it, or no, don't do it?
That sounds like, I mean, she sent us 3 already. Maybe we should decide on that after we decide on how we're going to do our meeting minutes from now on. Anyway.
Well, why don't we first take action to at least approve the survey, and then we can decide how we're going to, because as Mary's showing, they also have an option to mail it. So people can mail it as well.
Right.
They can also hand it to one of us. So anybody on the council, the public, can hand it to us as well.
Okay, I would suggest that we just add Mary's email address to it, and then we're good to go. So Kevin, your email address that you show on here, add Mary's, and then when Henry gets back and comes up with a more generic one, we switch over to that. But we've got 3 options then, the mail and the 2 email addresses.
Well, and we're also going to have an online.
And that too. So should we make a motion to approve this or to recommend sending this out as is at this point, or with the slight edits that we just talked about? Anybody?
Well, okay, then I'll move approval of this.
Are we to that point, Kevin? Any more discussion?
Well, we can still make a motion in a second and then have more discussion if you want.
Okay, let's have a motion on the content of this as it is with the edits we talked about.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, as amended. Anybody want to second it? I'll second it as part of the committee, and then open it up for further discussion. Any further discussion? Everybody happy with that? With adding the 2 email addresses of Mary and Kevin? And okay, then let's start getting this out in the community. And do
you want to vote?
Okay, yeah. Melissa.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
And Robert? Aye. Okay, very good. Okay, where are we at?
We're at GCAP.
GCAP Committee update. Okay. There's quite a bit going on there. You've all been following the ICO a little bit with their latest updates on this. I attended a MCOG meeting on August 15th, a Zoom meeting. Melissa also attended that, and then past council member Tom was also at that meeting. So the latest is that in these next coming 2 months, Caltrans is going to be working on, with the project design team, another plan, and it's going to kind of harken back to what was envisioned probably close to a decade ago. And that was more of an adherence to what the Walla Town Plan calls for, which is a center left turn lane, the 2 travel lanes, bicycle lanes on both sides, and the removal of the parking, especially in the downtown, well, on the entire stretch, okay? The downtown core will see a left turn lane. There's a very good video of the MCOG meeting online if anybody needs a link to that. But basically, we're going to have a busy next 2 months. Caltrans is with coming up with another alternative that will meet the Coastal Commission guidelines in our Walla Town Plan. And we'll hopefully, when not everybody's going to be satisfied. As go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I just have one point, and I was a little disturbed when I read the Caltrans final decision in the ICO, because there's one business that has no option at all if you remove the on-street parking, and that's Upper Crust Pizza. They have, because they're surrounded by the hotel parking, and they're surrounded by the real estate parking lot. They don't have their own parking. And if they lose their on-street parking in front of their business, there goes their pickup opportunities for their business, which is probably 75% of their business, if not more. Mm-hmm. I think that I would like to see a position by GMAC to have Caltrans look at as part of their design development is I think it's a 15-minute parking zone or whatever. No. But they need something in front of their business that someone can pull up in front of their business and be able to pick up a pizza, but not have it long-term parking.
What happens in these communities where they have, I mean, Guerneville is a good example, you guys, when you go to Santa Rosa and you watch what happens in these other communities, you'll see that a lot of times the center left turn lane, which will be in that area of town, in the downtown core, gets utilized as a temporary unloading zone or a temporary pickup zone. And I can see that that's likely what's going to happen in some of the downtown areas, even though it shouldn't, because it's such a small area that we're talking about with. But let's leave that up to the project design team in what they're going to come up with in this next go around. We're all welcome to give them any input or comments. I see Melissa's hand. Go ahead, Melissa.
I would take really strong exception to your statement, and they don't have any other parking. They don't have their dedicated parking. The loft doesn't have dedicated parking. The bait and tackle shop doesn't have dedicated parking. The restaurant inside that doesn't have dedicated parking. The realtor doesn't have dedicated parking.
Melissa, you're wrong. You're wrong there, Melissa.
No,
Melissa.
They don't need it. There's that entire parking lot in front of the mall for everyone in the entire area to park.
We're not going to belabor the dedicated parking issue. Caltrans owns to the sidewalk that runs from Gualala Hotel past down to the numeral signs of the new realty company down there. So there is some on-site parking for the pizzeria, but I don't want to get into that. Well, I want to see another design come up to us from Caltrans in these next couple of months that's going to be adhering to what the community wants. Okay, and I think we can work out. There's the other issue with the well, we can get into all the details of other businesses that we don't want to do that. We want to see them come up with an overall plan that's going to satisfy the majority of the people in this community. We've been working on it for 27 years. You saw what our editorial was today in the ICO. We need a plan that's gonna work for the most of us. And the other little things that aren't gonna work, we'll find a way to work those out. Whether people
who want their pizza are gonna park behind, just like people
have
to park 4 blocks away to go to the farmer's market and to pay and take.
Kevin and Melissa, I think there'll be ways to work those things out. A shared parking arrangement or something, there will be a way to work that out. But we cannot use the Caltrans corridor, the Caltrans right-of-way for private people's parking lots. We cannot.
Yeah, not.
So, I just wanted to give a short, I mean, we're doing so good in this meeting tonight. We're making it pretty efficient and shorter than our usual 3-4 hour meetings, but we have some progress on this through the latest MCOG meeting, and I could play you guys online right now while you're here, 3-4 minutes of it if you wanted to hear it, but I have it recorded, but I don't want to take up your time with it. I would recommend that we listen to it yourselves. It's on YouTube. You can get on the county website and listen to what the latest is that Frank Demling presented, even though he's no longer employed with Caltrans, but he did present it to MCOG, the latest from their discussions with the Coastal Commission. So have a listen. Otherwise, give me a call or contact me and I'll send you the right direction on that latest, okay, from MCOG. Other than that, I don't have anything on the GCAP committee update. We'll be waiting for Henry to get back, and so we can have our little meeting again, Melissa, you, him, and I, and we'll go from there. But yes, we are concerned about every business owner's needs, but the overriding thing is the community's needs. So,
Robert,
yeah,
I think Dan had a comment. He should pay, and looks like Don has a comment.
Okay, I'm sorry, Dan.
Mine got covered. Thank you.
Don.
Yeah, I just want to sort of back up what Robert said in terms of letting Caltrans at this point, come up with a revised plan, because now they know definitively that the Coastal Commission is not going to approve any change to the town plan. That town plan specifies no on-street parking, no exceptions. So I think we need to just let Caltrans do their work now that they know there can't be any on-street parking, come up with a plan, and then let's see it. I don't think, personally, I don't feel like we need to send any recommendation to them at this point in time, especially regarding a single business. I don't think that's, even though we are concerned about our local businesses, obviously, taking one single business and how this, whatever plan that they may come up with may affect them, I think is inappropriate at this time.
Correct. If I have to walk 3 blocks to buy 4 tomatoes at the farmer's market, someone can walk from the parking lot around to the pizza place to get their pizza pie, and they will.
Okay, then anybody else want to comment on this? Otherwise, we'll move on with our agenda. Okay, thank you. Electric vehicle charging station committee, that's just Don at the moment. You probably have a lot for us, huh, Don?
No, I actually thought I might have a lot for you, because earlier today, it started at 10 o'clock. There was a webinar put on by the Energy Commission, and specifically the Cal EVIP group, which I don't know if you recall, but Cal EVIP was a program they ran last year for grant funding of EV charging stations. And of course, nothing in Gualala was approved for that, even though there was, as far as I know, one application that got through. So there was another webinar today, Cal EVIP version 2.0, whatever. But as I started to listen to it and they explained the program, apparently the first part of this program is only going to involve Southern California and Eastern and Central California, but not Northern California. So I guess we have to wait an additional amount of time. I don't know when this is going to be before the Cal EVIP version 2.0 comes to Northern California. Also, just from listening to how they were explaining the program, it does not sound like this is the program that is being funded by the federal government. I think that is something else to come in the future, because my understanding was that the states had until August, end of August, to submit their plans. Presumably California did that. Then the feds are going to review those plans and approve them or not approve them. So I don't think that's really happened yet. So I think this Cal EVIP version 2.0 is a separate program just run by the state. So we then have perhaps to look forward to two possibilities of grant funding, one through the federal government, and although it is from the federal government to the state, but that's one source, and the other source is just pure state funding, Cal EVIP 2.0, when and if it comes to Northern California. So yes, I was hoping this seminar today, this webinar would have involved Northern California EV funding, but it did not. So I don't have anything new to report.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, Dan.
All right.
Question, Don. Are these charging stations all under the grants all going to be on public property then?
They do not have to be on public property, because what public property do we have here in Gualala? There's
pretty minimal, I agree. They're not going to stick one in Dower Park.
No, it can be privately owned. The key, though, is that even if it's, the funding goes to private companies or enterprises, the stations have to be publicly available. In other words, if some private owner gets this funding to install EV chargers, they can't control who comes and uses it.
Yeah, I understand.
Open to the public, totally. That's
the reason I asked. Yeah, the reason I asked that is I saw an article today about, I believe it was a gas station owner who had put in a half a dozen Tesla supercharger stations on his place, and Tesla had failed to pay rent for it for the last 8 months, so he bagged all their chargers.
Really?
And locked them off.
Yeah. Well, that's you see, Tesla runs its own network, and they obviously probably pay parking lot owners or gas station owners in this case, to in order to install their chargers. That's not how the funding that we're looking for is going to work.
Okay, thank you.
Don, I've been hearing the last couple of days that our governor is looking to have a switch over to electric vehicles by 2035. What's your feeling on that?
Well, I think it makes a lot of sense. It pushes, places a lot of pressure on the industry, because sort of as California goes, the rest of the nation goes, because it's such a huge market. So it's just going to accelerate, I think, the move nationwide to electric vehicles of one form or another, which we need to do. We need to get off of fossil fuels, obviously, for transportation. That's very critical. I mean, that's not the only thing we need to do for climate change. But it is one big thing that we need to do.
And that's the sale of new vehicles. That doesn't mean that everyone's going to lose their non-electric car.
That's true, yeah. But it was a really good step in the right direction, I thought, from our governor.
Yeah.
And who's to say that it shouldn't happen sooner?
Well, I think also an announcement like that is also going to put pressure on the fact that, you know, we need infrastructure to support these millions of electric vehicles that are coming in our future. Millions of them. So yeah, we have to expand the infrastructure because it is inadequate at this point.
And in the meantime, I think the industry or the internal combustion engine industry could continue to improve on emissions if possible.
I don't think so.
They're not going to do that, huh? They're going to relax on that.
I don't think they're going to, given the trend to electric vehicles, I don't think they're going to invest in improving
the emissions that need to be improved.
How much more efficiency can they squeeze out of them?
Not much, yeah. Okay.
They've already done that, I think.
Right.
So,
the efficiency that needs to be achieved is that we need more efficient, safe batteries. I was reading an article today that they are actually working on and have produced batteries using old crustacean shells, crab shells, to make the gel that the charge runs through inside the battery. And it's biodegradable.
Yeah, I think that's hopefully where we're going to see a lot of development work done is in the area of batteries, because batteries, you know, when you build an electric vehicle, the component that it produces the most waste and carbon emissions when you build the vehicle is the battery. So any improvement they can make there, and I think there will be over the next 5-10 years.
The IRA is putting
that will really help lower the carbon footprint of a new vehicle.
The IRA is putting billions of dollars.
Right now, you build side by side. You build an electric vehicle, and next to it you build an internal combustion engine vehicle. Guess which one has the higher carbon footprint at the start? It's the electric vehicle.
Electric vehicle,
It's because of the battery.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, and it really doesn't take that long, maybe a year, maybe less than a year, depends on how much you drive. The fact that the electric vehicle burns no fossil fuels means over time, that electric vehicle will have a much lower carbon footprint than internal combustion engine. Well, obviously, I think the direction we need to go in is getting that initial carbon footprint down as well, and also bring the price down of electric vehicles so they're more affordable.
Yeah, it's a real interesting topic. We need to get something locally, and that's
absolutely. I mean, occasionally when I see like a Tesla or some other EV driver, and I often will, if I'm close to them, I'll ask them, "Hey, what do you think about us having a fast charger, here in Walla?" And they say that would be fantastic. And I've maybe asked a half a dozen people that as I've seen them around town. It's all the same answer. They all want one here in Gualala.
Yeah. Okay, Dawn, thank you for your report. You've got another one right after that, the Telecommunications Committee. Are we going to say anything tonight with Henry's absence, or?
Well, yeah, I'd like to pop something on the screen here. And
okay.
Well, let me explain first where we're at in terms of the website and what we would like to do with it. And I've been in discussions with Henry a bit about this and Robert so far. But I don't feel comfortable with us being on the MCN network, mainly because their support is minimal, if not non-existent. So if we have questions about our website in terms of how to manage it or change it, we really can't go to them. And they seem to be having personnel problems. And it's not a very big organization. It's really small. You've got, I don't know, what, half a dozen people there, maybe? Mm-hmm. It's a tiny organization. They just don't have the resources to be all that supportive. And they've lost some people, apparently. I mean, I've read articles where, you know, some key people have quit recently. And so they're sort of, you know, trying to fill in at the management level.
Is there a good alternative?
And let me finish. And also I've noticed, you know, if you go to, when I manage our website, I go into management mode, and in management mode, you see different things. And one of the notices that I see popped up when I'm in management mode, managing the website, is that a key software component that our website depends on is obsolete and is out of date. And when you have an obsolete, out of date component running that your website depends on, that opens up vulnerabilities, you know, security and vulnerabilities. So, you know, as a general rule, you want to always run the latest software, which has the latest fixes. This is why you download updates on your iPhone or your Mac or your PC, because security vulnerabilities are found all the time and they are fixed, and those fixes come in updates. If you don't update on a regular basis, you are exposing yourself to certain security vulnerabilities. Now, maybe the chances of you actually being affected are minimal, but nevertheless, the risk is there. So we are running a website that is now dependent on a very old version of PHP, which is software that runs on the server that our website uses. And we use WordPress as the software for our website. I contacted MCN months ago when I noticed this and asked them, you know, to update the software, because they have to do it. I can't do it. It's on the server side. So it's not a website. I can't just update the website and update PHP. It has to be on the server. So I never got a response from them. So, you know, I just don't feel comfortable with them. Also, there's some things I think we want to do with our website. I think we want to update its look and feel, make it more accessible, make it more usable. To me, it's got kind of an old look. And also, I don't like the fact that the menu items, the items to click on to see like the agenda, it's all at the bottom of the screen. I think that's not very intuitive. I'd like to shift things around. But okay, to make wholesale changes to a website is not necessarily a trivial thing. And you have to be very careful. You have to have backups. You know, have to, you know, if you're going through this process of making wholesale changes, you break something, what are you going to do? You got to go back to where you were, you know. So the safest way to make wholesale changes and improve, update a website is to continue to run the old website and in a separate location, build and construct your new website. Once you've got it all built, modified, changed, updated all the way you want it, and you've tested it, then you can switch over. I don't feel comfortable doing that with MCN. I'll be quite frank with you. I do not feel comfortable. So if we proceed to move off of MCN and get on a different system web hosting site, then during this transition, we will have the time to modify the website. Because when we engage a new web hosting site, the first thing we will do is move a copy of our existing website over to the new web host. But while that's happening, we continue to use the old website host. In other words, we do not get off of MCN until we've moved the website, modified it, changed it, updated it, make sure it's running all the latest security patches and everything, tested. And this process could take a month or two, or maybe a little bit longer, I don't know. At that point, then we switch over. In the meantime, we're just still running with what we got. So this is the safest way to upgrade a website. And as I said, I don't feel comfortable doing this, staying with MCN, because I'm not even quite sure how we would do that with MCN. Whereas it's a clear path. If we switch over to a different web hosting site, it's obvious how we do this, and it's very straightforward. Yeah, Robert.
And the other thing you were telling me about was that MCN, I mean, they've been great for the community all these years. It was all we had for a long time. And they are kind of coming from an educating position up in Mendocino from the Mendocino Community Network. But I think they're going through a sale process, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so we have to kind of prepare ourselves for that eventuality too, do we not?
No, they're not.
You know, that's what I thought, Robert. But then there was an article, I think it was recently, that I read. In fact, they're not going to sell.
Okay.
We'll stick with it.
So they're still going to have.
But whether they sell or not, I don't think impinges on our decision to make this change. The other reason I would like to change is because I think the performance of our website is pretty lame. It's very slow. Mm-hmm. It's the slowest website I visit. There's no other website I go to that's as slow as our website. And that has to do with MCN. That's not your connection. That's MCN. Or it could be the fact that they haven't updated PHP. That's another factor that could impact performance. So
okay,
now let me just show you something here for a second. Let me share something with you.
So Dan, that's not an issue then that they're selling, but they still have their inherent issues, I guess.
Exactly. It was in today's ICO.
Yeah, it was in today's ICO. Okay.
I'll have a look. Okay,
so here I think I've gone over. I'm listening. You can all see this, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I think I've gone over all of this. Is there anything else? Oh, the other change I want to make is, right now, and this gets a little technical, but please bear with me. The domain registrar, in other words, the entity that holds and manages our domain name, which is gualalamac.org. That's MCN, and they host our website. So they're doing two functions. The best practice, for any IT system is to separate those and have a different entity be the registrar of our domain name, and then a different entity being the host for our website. That gives us more control if there's ever a problem with our website and we need to change where that is. And we can do that because the registrar is somewhere else, So it's best not to have one entity manage both of the key functions that you need for a website. One is your name registration, and two is the host for your website. So what I'm recommending here is that we separate those two so that a different entity registers our name and then another entity hosts our website. And the entity that hosts our website, I want to be an entity that provides support specifically for WordPress so that we can get WordPress support as we need it, especially since we're going to be making a lot of changes to improve the performance and readability and accessibility of our website. And I think in the long run, this is going to be a good thing for our community. If we have a website that is more attractive, that people know that they can go to get updated information, all of that, I think overall, it has some positive benefits. So if we look at pricing, what we're actually paying, and that's another issue that you might raise. And I got this information from Robert. Robert, you can confirm this or not, but
sure.
We're currently paying to MCN, it looks like $180 a year. Mm-hmm. And that's for both the registration, the ongoing registration of our URL or web name, and then for the hosting of the website. So what we can, if we change, okay, here's an example of some pricing. There's one domain registrar that, they charge you $10 to do the transfer, and then 10 years is $130. That's $13 a year. That's pretty cheap. Mm-hmm. The reason why you'd want to go 10 years is this is something that doesn't change. Gualalamac.org is permanent. It's
right.
Not going to change. And then a new web hosting, there's one organization I found that does provide support for WordPress, and it's $10 a month. So if you had $10 a month, that's $120 plus $10 transfer fee, that's $130 plus $13. Well, actually, that transfer fee is only one time, but basically we're paying $120 plus $13, $133 a year, not $180. Mm-hmm. Now, there may very well be some additional charges because this new web hosting organization, if you want support for WordPress, they're going to charge you for it. But you can buy it on a monthly basis. And I'm thinking that's all we would need is a couple months of support for while we upgrade and transition to a new look website. We will need some support. So, we can get that for the couple months we need it, and then we don't need it anymore. So I don't think, our costs are going to go up on an annual basis. Maybe the first year is going to be higher because of the support we need for the major changes we're going to make to the website. And I think that's about it, because our goal, at least certainly my goal, is to create a website that doesn't require a whole lot of maintenance. That all we need to do is, update it on a monthly basis with, new meeting agenda information and whatever else goes along with that, links to videos, that kind of stuff. And those types of updates are pretty straightforward. I mean, you don't have to reprogram the whole website to do that. That's basically what I'm doing now. All I do is go in and create a new page and add the information for the agenda and some other things, and that's it. It's the same process every month I have to go through.
Okay, Don, thank you. It's been a long time coming, I think. We've had this website for so many years. We've been talking about it for a long time. We have had been bogged down by a lot of other things that have happened in the community, but we used to look at some of the other websites of the other MACs in the county, and some of them are a lot more updated and easier to use, or more efficient than ours. And then I think it's overdue, I think, that we do something like this. So I know you and Henry are more the experts on this, but I'm all for it personally, that we start upgrading our web presence. And I don't know how the other council members feel, but maybe you're going to give another presentation next month, Don, with Henry, or how are we planning on going forward on this?
Well, I don't know. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we could start the process of changing the domain registrar anytime. Although I prefer to do that at the beginning of a month after the meeting. It takes a while to go through the system. In other words, when you change a domain registrar, that means the new registrar is going to be the source for anybody who searches for our website. They basically go to the new domain registrar, and the domain registrar knows where our website is. It provides a IP address. You know, when you go to a website, you don't use an IP address, you use a URL. But that has to be translated into an IP address, and that's what the domain registrar does. Points, and then it points your request to the correct server running your website. So that process of sort of updating DNS servers, that's what these are, that takes a little time. But in the meantime, you know, everybody still goes to the old website. Well, even after we change the registrar, in the new registrar, we're going to point it to the old website location.
You could have the old website just have one page and a link. New website.
Well, I'm not sure we have to do that, because, you know, in the end, it's just going to switch over. But we don't want, people are not, ultimately, they're only going to go to the new website. There will be no, we have to redirect, they either go to one or the other. They can't go to both.
Well,
anyway.
I'd like to make a request on the new website that you ditch that silly map that it's just ugly. And I would hope that you would give your consent. There's one particular photo that I've seen of yours. It looks like it's almost from the Walla Bridge of the entire river and the river mouth and the ocean. And it's just, I think I would vote in a heartbeat to put that on our front page, so that when people look at the GMAC, they see, whoa, nice town.
That's personally, you know, I think we definitely can improve the look of the website by using, you know, some nice photos. And
that one of yours.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of into landscape photography now, and I've got a new camera, and I'm going to not be taking all my pictures with the iPhone, although the iPhone can do a pretty good job. But, you know, I think that's important also, just to improve the look and appearance of our website, is to use some really nice photos. And
change it once a year.
You know, I don't know, that map of our, you know,
jurisdictional area.
Jurisdictional area. You know, we can have that there, but just have a link to it. You know, if somebody wants to see it, there's
on the front page,
and they can look at it. But I agree, I don't think that should be on our landing page. No.
Yeah, you should definitely have a link, GMAC jurisdictional coverage map, and then have a better map than that one, so that people can actually say, oh, for people who are looking for it, do I qualify to be on GMAC?
Okay, I think we need to ask all the council members if first of all, if we're in favor of going in this direction that Don and Henry are kind of the experts in, and then we can all provide them, the committee, the Telecommunications Committee, with suggestions. How's that? But how, we haven't heard from the other council members, but are you all in favor of revamping, of retooling and upgrading our website?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would support Don and Henry moving forward.
Okay. But it's the beginning of the month, Don. It's September 1st. Should we already start on this, or do we need to wait till Henry gets back, or what are you thinking?
Well, I can send Henry an email. I mean, I think we can start. As a matter of fact, I already talked to MCN about this.
Okay.
They told me what we needed to do to begin moving the registrar portion, not the website, of course, just the registrar, which is the first step. We need to get that completed. And I think, Robert, I sent you sort of a sample email that you would,
right.
You have to do this. I can't do this.
I understand. Right.
You have to send it to MCN because they know who you are. They don't know who I am. They're not going to make any change from me.
Right.
It has to be from you. So that information that we need to get from MCN in order to provide to the new registrar, you ask for that, they send it to you, and then we can start the process. So I don't know. I feel that part we could start right away. In terms of hosting, finding a web host for the website, we could wait until next month to make a decision on that. But I'd like to get this registrar move in the works.
Okay. Should we take a vote on moving the registrar?
I'll make a motion that we move the registrar for our website.
Okay. Anybody want to second that motion?
Okay.
Dan? Great. Okay, let's at least get that process going, right, Don?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a vote on that. Melissa?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Robert? Aye. And then maybe when Henry gets back, we talk about the next moves at our next meeting. Is that
exactly? And certainly in terms of, how we want the look and feel of the new website to be, and what features we want to, or what services or features or whatever we want it to provide, we can discuss that among ourselves. Now, we're gonna, to keep it as simple as possible, we need to sort of live within the framework of what WordPress can provide to us without getting too crazy. Because I don't think me or Henry are going to want to get into a lot of heavy programming.
right?
HTML, writing HTML code. I mean, there's so much you can do with a website, but usually, those really sophisticated websites, those require a lot of programming. And we're not going to do that.
No, we're volunteers.
A template, that lets us modify some things fairly easily without too much trouble, but then we're gonna have to live within that template, so.
HTML? Hypertext markup language.
That's
I
right.
made my own website 20 years ago. No. About 1990, 30, close to 30 years ago. I can't remember the name of it, but you could make your own website, and I learned HTML and did all that cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, that can be done, but once you get into heavy HTML programming, well, then what if somebody else, let's say I leave or Henry leaves and we need somebody else, to manage the website. They didn't program it, and it's got all this HTML code in it that they got to figure out. Then it becomes a little bit more complicated, to manage.
That's why I keep it simple.
As I say, if we can keep it, for the most part, maybe there's a little bit of HTML coding that we might want to use. I don't know yet, Henry and I need to sort of go over that. But for the most part, I'd like to see us use a template-based website. So we just plug things in and, edit text and upload photos or documents and stuff like that.
A website that you can use the training wheels or take the training wheels off. Either way.
Yeah, all the WordPress themes, they call them themes. You can just use them straight as a template and just work within the structure that the theme gives you, or you can modify that with HTML coding. You can go as far as you want either way.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Like I said,
Okay.
training wheels or not. I'm now you're talking my language.
Melissa and other council members, I'm all for the Telecommunications Committee going forward with this changeover.
Yes.
And I don't see Don having any problem with us giving suggestions about like pictures or whatever you brought up. Is that okay, Don? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
So no, thank you very much for explaining that in such detail. That's your expertise along with Henry's, and we look forward to go ahead. Yeah,
one last thing. I think Kevin mentioned, well, he sent me an email about, doing some cleanup maybe. I do wonder okay, in the current website, there's a lot of old stuff on there. And I'm kind of wondering how much of this do we need to keep? We're not the county. We don't have to be a repository for records, indefinitely. We're just an advisory council. And I'd kind of like to keep the website such that, for the most part, it has current information in it and not a whole lot of stuff from years ago. What are your feelings there?
How many years back does it go?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you, but
I want to say till 2005, somewhere in there for sure.
The web. Are you saying the website dates back to 2005?
If not earlier, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But isn't a lot of that relevant information? I'm thinking about Streetscape, for instance, or all town plan stuff, even some of the CDPs that maybe somebody wants to refer to from way back. Should there can there maybe be a link to that stuff, or what?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I think for the CDPs, I think that's a county matter. I think those CDPs can always be accessed at the county level, if I'm not mistaken. How do they do it? How do they do it? I don't know, but this is all plan. CDP is a planning commission function,
right?
We just review it and give our approval or not. So I don't think we need to be the repository of record. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's any legal requirement at all for us to keep any information for any particular period of time on our website. It's all just a matter of what is useful or convenient for members of the community in terms of looking up information.
As a professional archivist, you cannot keep too much historical information about an important body politic as this. You just can't.
What do you mean?
You have it all on paper, Mary?
Let's hear from Kevin here a second, then Dan.
Okay.
A couple things. I really think that the website should include just pertinent CDPs that we're going to be discussing at an upcoming meeting. Should someone want to look at them and see what we're discussing, I don't think we need to keep the others. As far as the streetscape and some of the other items, Don, correct me if I'm wrong. Can we set up hyperlinks on our website? So if someone wants to look at the streetscape or some of the other archival things that we've done as GMAC throughout the numerous years, can we set up a hyperlink where they can go to directly to view that document rather than have them all listed on our website?
Absolutely. Of course, we can include hyperlinks that go off to the county website, for example. Yeah, because that's really where this information long-term should be stored, not on our web server. I am almost positive, although Robert, you can correct me, that our little advisory council has no legal requirement to maintain information on the website.
No, I don't think we do. No,
it's just a convenience for the community. Yeah. That's all it is.
It's been informative. That's all. I can still remember when we were dealing with paper, tons of paper, and Mary one time unloaded her office and brought me a bunch of paper. I'll never forget, Mary. I still have some of all that paper, so I'm happy we have even just a GMAC website deposit or repository. But I like Kevin's idea about the hyperlinks to somebody that wanted to do some research. You like to do research on different various topics. There's plenty of them that we've had over the years, whether it's cell towers or THPs or whatever it is. There's plenty of it that people might want to refer to. So hyperlinks or whatever it is would be the way to go. But no, we want to hear from Dan still and Melissa if she's got any last minute inputs, and then we should move on from Telecommunications Committee.
Okay. This comes under the heading of I know a guy who, and he's a web designer, and he's designed he's written a program that is user-friendly to maintain your own website and modify it as you see fit. And he's done governmental websites for the Nevada State Bar and the Nevada Supreme Court and things like that. And if you're interested, I could talk to him about it. And I think we can get him for free.
Yeah, well, that might be useful. I do think we just, from the standpoint of sticking with a sort of a standard platform,
yeah, I
think I would recommend we stick with WordPress, because WordPress is probably the most popular web platform on the planet. And it's
he's more of a designer than a design the appearances and stuff.
If he designs websites from scratch, that's I don't think we want to get into that. Yeah,
I'll ask him.
Because the problem with that is if we get some outside designer who comes in and designs a website that usually costs money, and number two, it's proprietary. It is totally proprietary. Well, what I think we want to do is something that is standard, and WordPress is a standard. And there are lots of people that know WordPress, a lot more than I do. I don't really know WordPress that well. I'm willing to learn some more about it. But I think it makes sense to stay with WordPress because it is such an industry standard. And it's also open source. It's not owned by Microsoft or Apple or Google or anybody. It's open source software.
And that may be what he uses. I don't know.
Yeah. Dan, I think we're pretty lucky we have Don and Henry to help us on this. And I just as well keep it in-house myself.
Yeah, I think as long as we stick with the theme-based, kind of template, and for WordPress, there are a zillion of them to choose from. It's almost too many. But there'll be lots of choices in terms of how pages are formatted and presented and all that. I just think WordPress is the way to go. We're there now, and I think we can migrate to a new theme in a pretty straightforward manner, and then start making some adjustments once we're on a new WordPress theme. If we do something else, then we're basically starting from scratch.
Okay, should we conclude this item on our agenda? Thank you very much, Don, for all your input on this.
Sure.
Anybody else? Okay. The Water Ad Hoc Committee is next on our agenda. I got a couple of things that I want to say here. You've probably all received robocall from North Walla Water Company. Have you all? Okay. Water customs,
No.
you have not. Okay, so that's what I still need to work on, Melissa, is getting the property manager or the assistant manager of the mobile home of the, oh, what do we call it? Ocean View Estates at Wallala to contact each and every individual homeowner up at the park there. There's 50 plus to also individually get that robocall. But anyway, and I haven't done that yet, but I'll get on it with Bob. The robocall was telling us we are again in mandatory water conservation measures. If you recall, we were recently taken off of those, but now we're back on them. The North Fork Wallala River flows have fallen under 4 cubic feet per second as of early August. So currently the North Fork flow is measured about at 2.82 cubic feet per second. So it drastically came down since I reported on this last month when we were just above 5 cubic feet per second.
Robert, there's the North Fork right there.
You bet it is.
That's what it looks like.
That's where our water comes from. There's hardly any bypass flow.
There's no water flowing into the Gualala River, the main.
Into the main stem from the North Fork.
It goes into the gravel just on the other side of this bridge.
Temporary bridge for the logging company. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in dire straits again this year, although last year was the worst of the worst that I've seen in all the years I've been up here. We were hovering around 1 cubic foot per second at this time last year. So being at, what are we at, 2.82 cubic feet per second as of today at 5 o'clock. So anyway, Dawn and Melissa and I are part of the Water Ad Hoc Committee, but we didn't have time to get together this past month. Any further input from Melissa or Dawn on this item on our agenda? Otherwise, we can move on and conserve water. That's what we can do. Drafting a letter is still on here regarding THPs. I did last month get in contact with a fogger, but I haven't been able to do anything further this past month. So I think we're down to permit review assignments, which is on the back page of our agenda. And we have the 3 items. Is that correct, everyone? We need to revisit our Amy Wynn is, I still see her on our screen. I think she wanted to maybe have something to say about the Ritterman and Associates CDP. Is that correct, Amy?
Hi, everyone. Sorry.
Oh, good. You're still here.
Over here. Sorry about that. Thank you so much. And I really I've been working on another project while I've been listening to your deliberations throughout the evening. So it's been
okay.
Very informative listening to you guys. So for the Ritterman project, I just want to point out that the only thing that we've done is add a proposed well to a certain part of the property right near the road, and I can share my site plan if that I've annotated a little bit, if that might be helpful to you guys.
Okay. We're not actually hearing it right at the moment, though. We're just going to assign it, okay? But yeah. Is that something that's on the website now too, this map? But I'd love to see it because before I recall when we approved the CDP, it was going to be based upon the spring water. Is that correct?
That's correct. And there's been some, there's been a little bit of back and forth about access to the spring water. And so while Carl Ritterman is working with that property owner, and that process may take some time where there's misunderstanding about how that access might work, we're still requesting that access as a part of the approval for the coastal development permit. But to hedge our bets, we're also requesting to drill a well along the road in pretty much the only spot that's feasible.
Okay.
So, we'll have both options should we be able to tie up the access to the spring.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's something that past council member Tom and I handled Last time it was presented to us, so I'll continue with handling it. And if there's anybody else that would like to join me on reviewing this CDP before next meeting, Don, would you want to do that with me?
The 2021
-0031. Yeah, Ritterman.
Well, is that going to require a fair amount of work? Because
it's just a small change, according to Amy.
I can share my screen if you want. I've highlighted where the well is next to the road.
If you don't mind doing that briefly and maybe sending us that that page, okay?
You bet. Share screen. You're gonna have to let me share my screen.
And Don will do that.
Yeah, hold on.
Thank you, Don. Should be able to do it through the green button if you click on the arrow next to that.
I'm sure Don knows how.
Yeah.
But
I can do it that way. I was going to try to do it just for you. It doesn't look like it gives me an option. Okay, you should be able to do it now.
Okay, thank you.
I like doing it that way, but that works.
I'll be quick.
Okay, Amy.
So yeah, so as you recall, that this is where the residence is and all, and just the well itself is just right up at the bend of the road. You know, so it's real easy access.
And now where's the spring again?
The spring is down here.
That's that parcel. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
cool.
This CDP only involves this well? There's nothing else?
We handled the CDP already, Don. Yeah. So this is a slight, I guess you could call it a modification to the CDP, or what do you want to call it, Amy?
We have revised the project description to include drilling this well.
Okay.
The rest of the project is exactly the same.
How does that affect the location of the septic system?
It is more than 100 feet away from the septic system, so it complies with everything.
Environmental health. Okay. Yeah, okay. Send us that drawing if you don't mind, and if Don doesn't want to handle it with me, then maybe somebody else could.
If it's just that well, then I can do that with you, Robert.
Okay. So Amy, if we get back to you by next month, is that good?
You bet. And
okay.
Next month, I will be traveling during your meeting, so my coworker Tara Jackson will participate in that meeting.
Okay. Yeah, good. We should be able to pick up any other. Well, this is the main page that's of a change on the county website, right?
Yep, this is it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will email this with my colorful annotations to Mary, and she can distribute it to you so that it's helpful in your site.
Okay, we'll be getting that from Mary. Okay, thank you for hanging in there with us on this long.
You bet.
Year. Okay, Amy.
You know what you facilitated by having me be, and I'll stop sharing, but having our item being at the end of the agenda is I've been working on a grant for Barren Silver Spot Butterfly Conservation effort with our company and Conservation Works through the Community Foundation Mendocino County. So thank you for bringing me to my desk this evening. It is good for the Barrens.
Okay, very Excellent. Good to hear.
All right, take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So the next CDP we need to assign is CDP 2021-0057 Meyer. And that's a CDP to construct a single-story, 620 square foot wood frame dwelling, new well, it should say, septic, driveway, grading, and temporary use of a trailer during construction. This is located actually on Ocean Ridge Drive, up on Ocean Ridge subdivision. A lot of locals live up there. It's kind of a steep parcel, but it is a small home that's being proposed here. Who would like to review this CDP?
I'd be in on it.
Okay, Melissa? Anyone else? Okay, then I guess.
Robert, I'll go ahead and join Melissa on this one.
Okay. Otherwise,
I don't like those little houses.
yeah, okay, so Melissa and Kevin, and then we've got the other one that we had on the agenda that we're gonna handle under assignments, right? That's the CDP 2022-0039 SNL Farms West LLC. That one's a little bit more involved, but who would like to handle that one? Who do we have left? Dan? Okay, thanks. This one is on Timberwood Way.
What is it for?
Well, it's an administrative coastal development permit. It's an after the fact remediation of violations that were done on this property. Okay, that's somebody else talking, but okay, so who doesn't have an assignment here? Otherwise, I'll help Dan on this.
Well, why don't you give it to Henry?
Henry and Dan? Okay. And
he's not here to defend himself, so I would just assign it to him.
Why don't we sign it to Henry? Okay, if Henry or Dan can't make it, I'll jump in. How's that? Because I'm familiar with the property.
Robert?
Yeah.
Mary's sending all sorts of hand signals.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing him now. Okay, what is it, Mary? Speak up, I can't hear you.
Throw something at him.
Can she use chat function?
So we're not gonna handle it, right, Mary?
No.
We're
write
not
a note, write a little note and show it to us, Mary.
Mary, write it on a piece of paper and show it to us.
Good idea. She's didn't want it on the agenda. Now it's not on under assignments. So I mean, it is pretty much being handled by the county already. What are we gonna still remediate on this?
We can check. What we do a lot is just boots on the ground and eyes looking. Is it what it's on paper?
Right. What does that say?
Henry gone.
Henry's gone.
I know he is. We're gonna tell him when he gets back from New York, Mary.
Uh-oh.
Is he gone all month?
Maybe he'll be gone next month. Gone till November. He won't be here in a month. There you go.
Let's take Henry off there and I'll jump in on that with you, Dan. Okay, just to facilitate that getting done. What if I decide to go somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, somebody jump in for me. Anyway, we've got those assigned. What's that?
I'll be gone for a couple of weeks this month, you know.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it too, but I don't know yet. Depends on my work's load. Okay, what else do we need to discuss here? Council members' comments. We need to discuss, well, we need to have Mary. How are you going to present I've got your invoice sitting right in front of me here, Mary. I'll get it off to the county, okay? No, don't submit the invoice? Yes, okay.
Hey, Robert, for what it's worth, while Mary's getting situated, I looked at our two formats and I really like the action minutes.
Okay.
I think they were real succinct. Oh, there we go.
What does that say? Oh, let me get her on big scale.
Raise it up just a few inches.
Up a little bit.
Report
Robert. Okay, I'll report for her. Thank you, Mary. It's a good idea. Okay, Mary worked 25.25 hours this past month. She had material costs of $23.40. Her labor was $441.89 for a grand total of $465.29. And it was a pretty busy month for her. I can see it from her invoice. I will get this off to the county. Okay, Mary? Report, Robert, stamps. Yeah, you bought stamps, correct, Mary? Had to buy a lot of stamps. Okay. Yeah, she got them for I don't know for how long, how many. Yeah, you got them in advance. Stamps, $17.50 worth. No, $12 worth of stamps, and then another $17.50 worth. Okay, is that it good, Mary? Did I do a good job? Okay. I will get this submitted, okay? Anybody else on agenda items, I guess? What else do we have? Minutes form. Okay, hey, back to what Kevin was saying. Are we going to make a vote on whether to go forward with the action minutes format? And do we have any more discussion on that item?
I have no opinion one way or the other. Whatever the majority wants is fine with me.
I recommend it.
Okay. Kevin and Don?
Oh, I guess I'm fine with the action minutes. Want to go that way?
We have the recording of the meeting. I mean,
yeah,
we needed an abbreviated type of a format. It's not to say we can't go back to it at some time again if we want to, but let's give it a try. What do you think, Kevin?
I'm all for action minutes.
Okay, let's take a vote on that. Melissa.
Are you gonna make a motion? Who's gonna make a motion?
Mary, you have something to say, Mary?
We need a motion and second.
Yes.
Motion and second. Okay.
I could hear her little voice in my head telling me.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead there again.
Okay, Robert, I'll move that we have action minutes.
Okay, and who's going to second that? Dan. Okay. Okay, back to the vote then. I'm sorry. Melissa.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Don.
Aye.
And Robert. Aye. Okay.
It's kind of like that game I played as a little girl. You have to say, "Mother, may I?" first.
Really? Okay. Have we handled everything for tonight? Not adjournment yet, huh? Or Dan, go ahead.
I have a question. When at the beginning of the meeting, when we discovered that Mary's audio was not working, one of our guests put on the chat. Why doesn't Mary use the chat to communicate with us? And my first thought was, is that being recorded, which it's not, which would then violate the Brown Act? Am I accurate?
Huh.
Well, she's not a council member, so yeah, it's more what we say than what Mary says in terms of the Brown Act.
Okay, but I'm talking about in terms of her communicating with us under exigent circumstances.
When Mary says something, as far as I'm concerned, it's as a member of the public.
Right. She's not.
Except for her report.
Not even that.
Really?
Not.
Okay.
I don't think the Brown Act applies to Mary.
Okay. So she could use chat in exigent circumstances.
I asked her if she could use chat. She could not. So
doesn't seem to be working for her, just like the sound.
That was how Amy communicated to me. Why doesn't she use chat? And I thought, not recorded.
Okay.
Okay, that answers that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got that chat too.
Melissa, we're waiting for a motion from you.
I make a motion that we adjourn and call it a night and hang it up and hit the hay.
Okay. Anybody want to second that motion at 20:09?
I'll second that.
Okay, Don. Voice vote. Melissa.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Don.
Aye.
And Robert. Aye. Okay.
Good night,
Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation. Thank you, Mary. for your hands.
Good night.
Okay, good night.